America, the USA, land of the free, home of the brave, beacon of democracy. Yep, us Brits have a love-hate relationship with our pals across the pond. We share a common language, but that's about it. And sometimes even the language can wind us up. You see, the problem with Americanisms is that they slowly creep into British English through the export of American culture, such as films and music. Some can be quite amusing, but others are infuriating. I'm not going to mention fanny pack and why it's so hilarious to Brits who call it a bum bag. You can look that one up yourself. It doesn't bother me at all that there are differences in vocabulary such as sidewalk, elevator, subway, vacation, and even season instead of series. But there are one or two, well, I'll be honest, it was a challenge to get it down to 8. So here is my countdown of Americanisms that really get on my nerves. First up, bangs. If something like curtains or an item of clothing has a frilly end, we can call it a fringe. This word is also used for the part of your hair that hangs down over your forehead. If you have a fringe, it's a singular word because there's only one, and it's impossible to count each individual hair. The American equivalent, bangs, originates from the word bangtail, which describes a horse's tail cut horizontally, so it has a flat, tassel-like end. What annoys me about this phrase is plural. I mean, you can say pigtails because you can count them. 1, 2. But can you count a fringe? No. Talking of horses, horseback riding. Horseback riding. What's wrong with horse riding? I mean, it's not like you hang onto its tail or ride under its belly. Isn't it obvious? Next, deplane. The prefix de often means to remove something, like defrost or deforestation. So when you say deplane, it sounds like the plane is being taken away. But in fact, what it means is that the passengers have to get off the plane. There's a perfectly good word, disembark. My bad. This is a really sloppy way of saying my mistake, but it's one that's grown in usage in the UK. Bad is an adjective, so to use it with the pronoun my and no noun sounds, well, bad. It's like saying her beautiful or his friendly or my angry. Use my mistake, oops, I beg your pardon, sorry, or many others before you say my bad. You got this. This is a way of encouraging someone to keep going, to carry on and not give up. The British version used to be you can do it, but sadly you got this is slowly replacing it. Surely it should be you've got this, the least worst option. This has to be one of the most irritating Americanisms ever. You wouldn't say most best, so why on earth would you say least worst? If you're talking about the best option from two choices you think are both bad, you can say the lesser of two evils. Winningest. Here's how I imagine this one to have come about. Imagine a little child who has just been beaten by his brother at Monopoly. He hasn't quite understood the difference between the verbs beat and win, he doesn't really understand the rules of superlatives, and he hasn't got enough descriptive vocabulary.
You might have won me this time, but next time I'm going to win, and then I'll keep winning, and one day I'll be the winningest Monopoly player in the world.
But that's not how it went, is it? No, sadly it was an adult who first came up with this appalling superlative. When we're talking about sports and competitions, we use words like dominating, most successful, the best, but definitely not winningest. But anyway, if we can say winningest, can we say winninger? No, it's nonsensical, it's lazy, and it's a degradation of the language. Is a pilot who took the most flights the flyingest? If I go on more hikes than anyone else in Almaty, am I the hikingest? No. Forgive me if I start ranting about this one, because it really is the most irritating phrase ever. If you want to say that you don't care or you care very little, you would say, I couldn't care less. It means that you care so little that it's impossible for you to care any less. But for some unknown reason, Americans have dropped the negative altogether and just say, I could care less. which is a way of expressing how little you care, is absolutely useless. It tells me nothing. You're basically saying it's possible for me to care less than I do. So what are you telling me? You care a little bit? Well, thanks. But that's not what you're trying to say, is it? I'm confused. Do you care or don't you? Oh well, I couldn't care less.